Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Sydney.
Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses, everybody. Great morning, great morning, great morning, great morning. We are here. Do me a favor, guys. If you guys are on Instagram, I would love for y'all to jump on so that we can engage that community. But it's great to see you, Sydney. Great to see you. Hope all is well. Guys, we're going to be drilling down on some stuff, picking up where we left off last week. Make sure that you share this out and let somebody know that we're on live. We're getting ready to go live to Instagram. Breakfast with the Brookses. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time checking out the community, do me a favor and put first time in the chat. Put that in the chat. We're going to be coming live to you guys here on YouTube in just 1 second. When I say come live, meaning show you our face. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the program. Good morning, Cherie. We're going to continue the conversation dealing with couples, and we're going to finish up where we left off last week, and then we're going to pick up, and we're really going to concentrate on singles today. So I'm super excited about that.
Good morning. Yes. Pray that everybody has had a good week. We know it's a lot going on. But we appreciate you guys taking the time to join us this morning. As Glenn stated, we're going to be finishing up the series we've been talking on about trust, how to rebuild trust. We talked about it as a couple, in marriage in particular, and today we're going to take a slightly different turn.
Oh, yeah.
As we talk about trust in dating.
Yeah, it's going to be slightly different, all right. I think that a lot of times, Cherie, people really get things kind of convoluted a little bit when they're trying to date. And, you know, do the same rules apply? We're going to deal with that a little bit and talk about that today. So if this is your first time on Breakfast with the Brookses, we certainly want to welcome you. Yes. We're getting ready to go live on Instagram. Do me a favor. If you are on Instagram, go ahead and click over and join us in that community so that we can engage that community live. Chris, good to see you, brother. Do me a favor again. Share this out, guys. We're getting ready to go live here in a few seconds, but share it out. We're going to talk and really, really help our singles community as much as we can today. I know we've been talking about couples for a minute, but now we're going to switch gears in a second. We're going to do a little bit of recap. Then we're going to switch gears and kind of talk about what this looks like for our singles. Let's go ahead and go live on Instagram. I'm trying to get my phone right. Here we go. Great morning, Instagram. How y'all feeling? Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. Super excited to have you guys here with us. Cherie is filling up her. Y'all got to see this. This is crazy. What are you doing, babe?
It's the last bottle.
The last bottle.
The last bottle of Purell.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm dispensing it out into little,
my goodness,
hand-carried bottles.
Oh, my goodness. Y'all see this?
It's the last one.
The last one, babe.
The last one.
All right. Well, Cherie's got her last bottle of Purell. Y'all do me a favor and send her. It ain't the last bottle. That's the last bottle, the big one. But
it's the last of the
we went out and got some.
It's the last one of Purell. I got some hand sanitizer from.
Oh, you mean the actual brand name Purell? Wow. Okay. Anyway,
that's what everybody been freaking out about, the Purell, but it's other brands.
As if there aren't. I got you. As if there aren't other brands. Right. No, I love it. I love it. Thanks for making coffee this morning. You doing good?
Good. It's Saturday. Mm-hmm.
Not gonna say nothing else while I'm drinking my coffee.
No, because I'm not I did a little something different with my hair. Mm-hmm. I didn't just wake up gray overnight, folks. I tried something, but it's looking a little suspect.
Yeah, I'm calling it the frosted flakes.
Yes, my daughter said I look frosted, so I don't know. Y'all like it? Y'all don't like it? I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay. We're waiting for people to join.
Wash it out.
You can wash it out?
Yeah, just wash it out.
Okay. Well, listen, guys, do me a favor. Chime in really quickly. What city are you chiming in from? We're getting started a little slow. Hey, Deirdre, good to see you on Instagram. Good to see you. Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. We appreciate everybody for jumping on. We're going to talk a little bit about trust in marriage. There are 5 components to rebuilding trust. We're also going to pick up and switch gears and go and help our single community out as well. For those of you guys who don't know, Cherie and I created an online relationship academy 3 years ago called MAPS, Marriages and Parenting Successfully. And it's in that community that we are able to help couples, help parents, help singles men, women. We have 5 different online group coaching rooms. We call them because we do it in a Zoom video conference room. It's virtual. A private room. It's virtual. Mm-hmm. And you can come join us from all over the globe, wherever you are. That's why we're often asking you, what city are you in, where you representing from, because everybody can come in and be a part of that if you want to be a part of a community that is growing and that is maturing and helping you to grow your relationships on purpose. I think that's one of the successes that we've had over the years. Mm-hmm. Is we've been in communities of people who were growing intentionally. Right. And we had the opportunity to flush certain things out and walk through the process, see what right looks like, be able to bounce things off of people who are doing it, not just talking about it. And it has definitely changed the fabric of what we do and how we do it.
Right. I think it's essential to be in a healthy community. And oftentimes we consider community, we think that community is just our family, mm-hmm. or just our set of friends. But being able to be in a community that's focused on the same thing helps you to grow in a certain area. So if you are an entrepreneur, you want to get into a business community with other entrepreneurs to help you grow, to help challenge you, to help you flesh out ideas. If you are looking to have a healthy relationship, you want to be in a relationship community, yep. with people who are trying to have successful relationships, that is their focus, that is their goal, because they're going to continue to push you. There's a level of accountability in, yep. that type of community. So whatever, your goal is in life, whatever area you're working on, you want to get in a community that's focused on that. So if you are looking to have healthy relationships, whether you're married or single, mm-hmm. or if you're looking to have healthy relationships as a parent with your children, whether it's you as a single parent, you have a blended parent relationship, even a traditional parenting relationship, just figuring out how to parent is very difficult. So you want to get in the community, and we want to invite you guys to join us in the MAPS Relationship Academy. Yep. If that is an area that you are attempting to grow in and you'd like to get in community, and you can go to our website, www.thecrcoach.com, to learn more information. You can schedule a free discovery session with us, and we'll get to chat with you for a few minutes, yep. kind of figure out if we're fit for you, if you're fit for the group. And then we'll send you more information. Yep. And for those of you on Instagram, if somebody could please put the website in the feed, and that's www.thecrcoach.com. It's also in the description.
The CRcoach, THE, thecrcoach.com. Make sure that you go there, sign up for a free a free discovery session. And we'll go from there. So,
and once again, before we get started, for those of you on YouTube, want to welcome you again to our YouTube channel. If this is your first time joining us, we want to ask you to please subscribe.
It's good to see everybody.
And make sure you ring the bell so, yep. you get notifications when we go live, as well as when we post videos on the feed.
Yep. So, guys, listen, if this is your first time on this morning, I see Les Squire is there. Good to see you, brother. Great to see you. Great growth day. Yes, it is. Joseph Beach from Rocky Mount. We're going to be down to see you guys in April. We got a parenting workshop. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. This Rona thing don't shut everything down. But it's going to be gone by then. But we're going to absolutely be down in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, at the end of April. And so we're super excited about that. Good to see you, Joseph. He says, love the hair.
Thank you.
And so Cherie got her Frosted Flakes
hair
on today. She's trying to do something different. You're feeling creative.
No, it's not creative. So, side note. So, as you get older,
yeah,
you start to get little grays that pop up, and so mine.
Yeah, I got a lot of them.
Yeah, but mine were like kind of scattered all over, and it was annoying because I couldn't color over it, and I would try to color over it, and they would peek out. So I was like, well, let's see what it'll look like if I just go completely gray. Right. And so this is my version of a temporary going gray to see how I like it before I decide to do it full blown.
Yeah, you should let your hair
I think
be
I like
gray.
It.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
It's not turning gray by
itself. It won't do it by itself, so you're trying to help
I'm going to have to help it.
Gotcha.
Do it, but I don't like the
challenge.
Literally, my gray hairs are so sporadic. I have people come up to me and be like, you got linen in your hair. Is there something in your hair? I'm like, no, it's
my grays. Leave me alone. No, I love it. I love it. Guys, listen. Cherie's going on her gray rant. So we're going to get back to the program today. But
we got news.
Yeah.
I see news. No, Chris just put news.
What news?
Chris just
what
put news? How you gonna put that in the feed, Chris?
What happened? I don't see it. Wait a minute. What? You proposed?
Congratulations.
Man, that's not even right, Chris. And she said yes. Y'all ain't right. Y'all gonna just sneak on the daggone thing. I love it.
It's one of our couples who are in our Master Relationship Academy.
They
We're so proud
they
of you.
proposed last night. Congratulations.
Oh, so proud of
I
you
need to
guys.
see the video footage. I don't believe it. Congratulations, Chris and
Wow.
Deirdre. Y'all, congratulations. Just let us know when the wedding is. We will make heaven and earth move around a little bit so that we can be there. That's right. Marsha, it's good to see you. Good to see you. So listen, really quickly, babe. I want to go back over. I'm just excited now. I don't want to talk about nothing else.
Krista messed us up.
Krista messed me up. Chris, listen, you wrong for that, brother. I just want to let you know, when we get in the men's room, I'm going to lay you out. That's just wrong. You just slide that in on Coach like that. Y'all got to understand, we've been working with this couple. They've come in. They've only been in a short while, and God is opening up some doors, and they are doing it.
Yeah,
And
so
we are so proud
guys.
of those guys for doing it. But that's what the MAPS Relationship Academy is all about, is nurturing people. We've had several couples come in single.
Mm-hmm.
They were dating, and they were trying to figure out what this dating thing was.
Mm-hmm.
How could they start doing it in a way that would help them build towards marriage, but do it in a really healthy way? Right. And they just didn't want to go backwards, right? So I'm just so proud of them. It's good to have them share that information. I appreciate it. Hold on to your youth. I know that's right, Dre. Dre said, trying to figure it out. So listen, here are the 5 things that I want you guys to know. There are 5 things that you need to know in order to move past trust issues. If you've had trust issues in your relationship, put a 1 in the chat. If you've had trust issues in your relationship, put a 1 in the chat. And baby,
any relationship, it could have been a past relationship.
It doesn't have to be this current one. And when we talk about trust issues, we're talking about the gambit of it. We're not just talking about infidelity and the heinous kind of stuff.
Right. It can be issues. It can be financial. It can be simply omission, an individual not sharing, being fully forthright and not disclosing things.
Yep.
It can be they just gave you misinformation intentionally or unintentionally.
Yep.
And it created a chasm within the relationship. For us in particular, we had a situation happen early in our marriage, and it was dealing with the finances.
Yep.
Where I was not forthright with Glenn, and it caused him to lose his trust in me in that area. And so it doesn't always have to be. Most time when people hear you talk about trust in a relationship, everybody goes straight to infidelity.
Right.
You can violate your trust in a relationship in a number of ways. As a couple, a married couple in particular, if one parent is, letting the kids slide on something like, just come and tell me, don't tell your dad.
Right.
That can violate trust in a relationship.
That's a good one. I didn't think about that.
So, you keeping things from one another can violate your trust.
Yep.
You're not being forthright. You're, like I said, through omission, not telling them everything. Or you riding solo. You doing things on your own and not communicating. That helps to erode away the trust in a relationship, because the thing is, once you're married, you are one.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't get to still be an individual, but you're 2 individuals working together in one unit, and so you need to communicate. It's no different than a business, an organization. The top leaders, they have to communicate with each other. Like, we'll go to this whole coronavirus thing. The governor of Virginia announced that all Virginia state schools, grades K through 12, were going to be closed for the next 2 weeks. The mayor or commissioner of a city can't say, "Oh, well, we're gonna do our own thing." Right. No, he communicated that to everybody. Now you need to communicate that to your people. You don't get to just do what you want to do.
And when you don't have the skill set, Cherie, of communication, what happens is that it will cause trust issues to always go really not dealt with properly.
Right.
I think that people forget that communication is actually a skill set, y'all. And the problem is that when you don't develop the skill of communicating, what happens is that it will absolutely interrupt your relationship, and it'll break down the trust. And so over the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about the 5 sticking points in order to effectively move past a breach in trust. Right. There are some sticking points. Number 1, we said that you have to know the details. Put that in the chat. Number 1, we're going to recap just a little bit, and then we're going to switch gears and really help our singles out. Knowing the details.
Right, and knowing the details is not knowing all of the nitty-gritty details, but it's knowing what actually happened, knowing your facts. Getting your facts straight.
Got it. Got it. Number 2 is releasing the anger.
Releasing the anger. That means you not holding on to it, but you being able to talk about it, probably to another person first to be able to vent, to get it out.
Yep.
But then being able to sit down with the person that offended you, or, and share how you feel, what you feel about it, and, creating some boundaries around that.
No, I love it. No, I love it. Number 3 is showing commitment.
Right. It's both of you being willing to work through it. And you being able to say off the break, look, you violated this, you crossed this line, but I'm willing to work through it, and you're committed to doing that. Or you saying, you cross this line and that's non-negotiable for me. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
But being able to knowing that unless you both are committed to working through it, it's not going to work.
And number 4, last week we talked about rebuilding the trust.
Right. And there's some work that goes into that in order for that to happen. It's not you just saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't mean it.
Get over it.
Right. That doesn't rebuild.
How many times have there's been a break in trust or a breach in the relationship, and the person who offended said they were sorry, said that they apologized. They said, hey, it's my bad. Let me figure out how I can get past this. We can get past this. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I lied, or whatever the case may be. But then 3 weeks later, the offended...
It's still going through.
It's still going through. The person that was offended is still going through. And the offender looks at that person like...
I said I was sorry. Get over it already. What? That was 3 weeks ago.
Why are you still there?
You have to allow that person time for them to heal, for them to move on. And
Yep.
you have to show them
Yep.
that you're not going to repeat the offense. It's not you just saying it.
Absolutely. And so there are 4 quick sub things that I want to talk about, and then we're going to move to another item today, and then we're going to talk about the singles, is that when rebuilding the trust, you have to decide that you're going to forgive or be forgiven. Mm-hmm. I think so many people, guys, do not ever make the decision, listen, I'm going to make a decision to forgive you and to release that. Let me say this so that you guys are really clear. When you decide that this is it, I'm done, that looks like something. When you decide that I'm in, that also looks like something. And unfortunately, I think that people approach forgiveness, Cherie, like they don't have a choice in that matter. And the truth is, you get to choose to forgive a person. Well, when you do that, you choose to let them off the hook. You choose to let it go. People will quickly say, well, I'll forgive you, but I ain't going to forget. That you setting yourself up. You really aren't forgiving, because a person has forgiven you when the issue comes back up and the sting is no longer there.
Right.
Put that in the chat. You've been forgiven. So when Cherie talks about this issue of us not being on the same page in terms of the finances, and you making some decisions that caused my trust in you to erode, that was, I don't know, almost 20 years ago now, close to it. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is, we can talk about this and there is no sting in me.
Right.
We can have that conversation. We can talk about it. That's how I know that I've truly moved past forgiving. And so that's a choice. Mm-hmm. And you make the choice every time you talk about it. You make the choice every time you think about it. You certainly make the choice in the very beginning. So you have to decide to forgive. Number 2, you have to be open to self-growth and improvement.
Right. And so what that means for the person who is the offender, that means you have to be willing to put in the work to do something different, mm-hmm. to change your habits, to change the way that you move, so that you can, number 1, protect yourself from making the same mistake again. But also it demonstrates to the person that you offended that you're doing something different.
Right.
That you are working on it. You're trying to improve yourself so that you don't do the same thing. You don't commit the same offense. But also for the offendee, that means that you also have to do some self-growth and self-improvement. And what I mean by that is that this is a time of self-reflection for you. When someone offends you, when they violate your trust, this is a time for you to be able to look back and say, okay, number 1, did I see some things before that I didn't address? Mm-hmm. Was I giving off this vibe where they felt like they couldn't come to me and share this? Mm-hmm. Was there any part that I may have played in this scenario
that I could have done differently?
And now let me say this: I'm not saying for you, if your significant other, if they commit adultery on it, that's not your fault.
Right.
We're
not saying take blame.
Right. I'm
for
not
something
saying
somebody else did.
But oftentimes, if we're honest with ourselves, we see things that we don't address.
Yeah.
We sense things that are going on and we don't address it.
Right.
And so that self-reflection for you is a time for you to look back and be like, well, I thought something might have been off then. I should have said something. So this way going forward, when you see something, say something.
Yep. And don't find yourself in that trap. Guys, that self-reflection is that period of time for you to be able to do the work on yourself so that this doesn't happen again. And I think, unfortunately, people find themselves in a place where I thought we talked about that. You did, but you didn't do no work. You didn't put any boundaries up. You didn't hold people accountable. You didn't rewrite the rules. You didn't choose to go another direction and choose to find yourself putting certain things in place so that that doesn't happen again. There were things that Cherie and I put in place when the trust was breached around our finances that basically ensured that it wouldn't happen again.
Right.
And if it did happen again, we would be aware of it much sooner and we wouldn't find ourselves going through all these changes trying to figure stuff out on the fly.
Right.
So the last thing that I want you, or not the last thing, but we're still talking about rebuilding trust. So you have to decide to forgive. You have to be open to self-growth. And number 3, you have to be aware of your innermost feelings and share your thoughts. Mm-hmm. You do not get to put people through the silent treatment. That ain't cool.
Right.
That's not fair.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. It's like, no, come on, man. You offended this person. You broke the trust. They want to talk about it. You need to talk about that.
Right.
We need to figure out what happened, what went down. There needs to be a communication regimen that's built around that, because if not, you're going to be in trouble. And if you need a third party, that's what coaches are for. Mm-hmm. That's what sometimes therapists are for. That's what a counselor could be for. That's what a trusted friend who's been through that and is winning they're on the other side of it, and now they're winning, that you may need to bring in what we call a referee, and someone who's not doesn't have a dog in the fight. They're not partial to one side or the other. That's one of the reasons why I love my job as a coach. People pay me to be impartial.
Right.
Hello? I love it, because now I get to come into the room, listen to your side, their side, and then I'm listening for the truth. Because sometimes it's in the middle. There's your side of it, there's their side of it, and then there's the truth. And so you have to be willing to share your thoughts and get that out. And the last thing is you have to want it to work.
Right.
And I think that, unfortunately, baby, there are people who secretly haven't decided whether or not they want this to work.
Right. And I think that it's unfair oftentimes, and I talked about this last week, is that oftentimes, people just won't be man enough or woman enough to just say, I'm done.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
And they'll be walking around. They've told themselves, I'm done, but they not going to just tell the other person, look, I don't want to do this no more. Mm-hmm. Because they don't want to be perceived as the bad guy. But
right.
You're already the bad guy because you already were the one that committed the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're the bad guy if you were the offendee, if now you're walking around with an attitude and you're not engaged in a relationship. So versus being the bad guy, be the bigger person and just say, I don't want this.
I love it. So, babe, we talked about those 4 things, and so we're going to switch gears really quickly, guys. We've been talking about rebuilding the trust for the last few weeks. We said that, number 1, you have to know the details. Number 2, you have to release the anger. Number 3, you have to show the commitment. Number 4, you have to be committed to rebuilding the trust. And number 5 today, we're going to get into this, is what does it look like to rebuild the relationship? What does it look like to rebuild the relationship? And let me say this, guys. This looks a little bit different for the offender, for the betrayed, and then for the couple. But once couples have committed to rebuilding the trust, they must work on treating the relationship like it is a completely new one.
Right. As you got to start with a clean slate. You can't continue to hold that issue over the other person's head. If you guys decide, hey, we are committed, we're going to move past this.
Yep.
Yeah, you offended. I forgive you. I'm going to work on completely forgiving you, but I'm willing to forgive you. I'm willing to move on from this. At that point, you have to start with a clean slate. Now, this does not mean that you don't still communicate about the issue. But
Absolutely.
What it does mean is that this is not this carrot that you're dangling over this person. You are starting fresh from here. Let's move forward.
Yeah, I think that's important. Guys, let me say this. And I was thinking about getting my whiteboard as an illustration. Matter of fact, I am going to do that. Just just continue. Give me a minute.
Okay, so as he just threw me off track, but so as I was saying, so you both have to be willing to commit to the relationship, and so in that starting over, starting fresh, you guys are saying that you're not acting like he said before. You know, people will say I forgive, but I'm not going to forget. You don't forget the issue technically, but you don't allow it to be the elephant in the room.
Right.
You don't allow that to be a major issue. You
Right.
start over from fresh. And also that means that now you both, as the offender, particular, you are building trust like from day one. It's like you just met, and now I need to prove to you that I'm trustworthy.
I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie with Adam Sandler and it's called 50 First Dates.
Yes.
50 First Dates. Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. If you've seen that movie, say, I've seen it. I've seen it. 50 First Dates. Put that in the chat. She suffered from a condition where her memory, she had this a weird kind of amnesia where she would forget what happened like the day before. So every day that she woke up was a new day. And as a result of that, in order for her to do a relationship for any length of time, whoever she was in relationship with needed to, first of all, understand that she wasn't going to remember the fact that we just went on a date yesterday. She was barely going to remember the things that y'all did. So what he decided to do is he decided to keep notes and keep a record of their dates, right? And so what he did is that he basically would say, hey, every date was a new date. One of the things that I want to help you guys understand, now this is my whiteboard and I use it every time I do different things. I'm going live. I'll put my notes on here so that I can see what it is that I'm talking about so I can stay on track. This was a talk that I just did yesterday, right? And it's the 7 benefits of streaming your church service live. So I did this thing. It's going to debut on our YouTube channel on Wednesday, where I have this new series and I'm doing tips and strategies on helping business people, ministry people do what they do better. Well, this stuff is on here. I want you guys to think of it this way. This is the offense. This is the relationship offense. This is the list of things that you guys have gone through and it's just offended you and it's in the relationship and it stinks. When you decide to rebuild the relationship, what this looks like is that you look at this and you discuss these issues. You deal with these issues. You say, this is what went wrong. This is why I think I did what I did. This is why I felt the way I felt. This is what I would like. I just did a discovery session for a couple yesterday. I think it was yesterday morning. And they're going to be coming into the MAPS Relationship Academy. But there's been some trust issues broken already. And they've come to us and they say, I think y'all can help us. Well, the first thing I had to get to is, are y'all willing to do the work and are you willing to rebuild? And what that looks like is as they get on the call with a coach or each other, they're listing these things. We're talking about that, right? Now that we got that over and out of the way, what we're going to do is we're going to clean the slate. Y'all see that, Instagram? We're going to clean the slate. Y'all see that, YouTube? We're going to clean the slate. Now we have a brand new slate. Now here's what I know to be true. If you look at this close enough, you can see the residue of the different things that were on there. It's almost impossible to get that residue off. So you're going to remember the issues and things like that. So we're not saying don't be realistic when it comes to rebuilding the relationship. But in order for the relationship to have a fighting chance, you've got to start with a clean slate. And so now I get to start with, okay, what do we want this to look like now? Now that we've talked about the issues, we've gotten them all out of the way, we've cleaned up the slate, let's talk about what we do want. Let's just go through that, babe. What would we like to see if in order for us to be able to start new? What are some things that we can do to start building this relationship new?
That we have open communication.
Number one, that we have open communication. What do you mean when you say open communication?
That, we're able to share openly whatever's going on with us without any fear.
Okay, stop right there. Number one, it means to share. What else?
Share with no repercussions.
Speak truth.
Speak true.
What else?
That we create a safe space for each
Ooh,
other.
stop right there. Safety is important. I'm going to stop right there for the sake of time in this illustration. Y'all see how what I'm doing is I'm creating a new norm? I'm creating something that's going to rebuild this trust. I'm going to create something that's rebuilding our relationship. Why? Because now we're talking about the do-over. Put that in the chat. The do-over. What does the do-over look like? Put that in the chat. What does the do-over look like? Let me tell you why that's important, guys. Listen to me really, really, really carefully. The reason why is because if you don't write it out, if you don't talk it out, if you don't lay out a new game plan, you will not execute.
Right. And one of the biggest challenges with individuals when trust has been violated in a relationship, number one, as the offendee, we take it personal.
Yep.
Like it was a person, like they did this intentionally to us. But we don't take the time to sit down and allow them to be able to really share where it came from. So in most cases, especially when it comes to cases of, well, I won't say in a lot of cases, when it comes to omission or not telling the truth about something, a lot of that is rooted in fear. A lot of times the person doesn't know how you're going to respond, or they've had a past history when in situations when they've shared the truth, it hasn't gone well, or they just feel bad about the situation and they don't want to disappoint you. And so, but if you don't have those conversations to find out those key things, that this was fear based.
Yeah.
They did this out of fear. They did this out of their own insecurities. Unless you know those things, you don't know where to start building from. Because once you know that, then you know, okay, so if they didn't share this with me because they didn't know how I was going to respond, they were fearful of how I was going to respond, that means that I'm not creating a safe space for them.
Absolutely.
For them to be able to share whatever.
Absolutely.
And so now I know we need to work on building a safe space where you feel like you can come to me with anything. You know, I may not like it.
Yep.
But you should feel safe enough to be able to come to me and share anything. It's funny with us.
I love this, baby. This is good stuff.
We created very early on in our relationship, because we both in the past have had infidelity issues. From the very beginning, we were like, okay,
in other relationships.
In other relationships, not in ours.
Yeah, because they somebody just said, what?
Right.
I thought y'all had.
In other relationships.
Just want to help y'all out.
And so because we knew that about each other, we decided very early on, look, we need to create an environment where we both feel safe enough to share anything.
Yeah.
So I would come home and tell Glenn, hey, guess what just happened? I'm in the grocery store. Why dude going get all up close to me trying to holler at me?
Stop playing.
He asked me out to dinner.
What?
The whole 9 yards.
What? Did you say yeah?
No, I ain't say yeah. I mean, he was a nice looking guy.
You should have said yeah and asked, could you bring me? Y'all hear how we can just jokingly talk about the truth? You know why that is, y'all? Is because Cherie feels safe to talk.
Right.
She feels safe to share. She knows I'm not going to go ham. She knows I'm not going to say, well, what did you do? What was you wearing?
Right.
And how was you? Y'all understand? Because I've grown up and I've matured and I no longer hold offenses, I can move past things that may have been questionable in the past and have caused me to want to be in that place to where she didn't feel safe. And then now as a result that she's not going to share. Right.
And one thing that you have to remember when it comes to trust, if I do not feel safe in sharing with my significant other what's going on in my life, situations I'm dealing with, thoughts I'm having, that means I'm holding that in. I'm keeping a secret. Secrets do not work in relationships, because secrets are going to build, it's going to fester, because you're having these thoughts that you're just fellowshipping with on your own. You're not sharing it with anybody. You're not sharing it with the person you should be sharing it with, which is your significant other, so that they can help you flesh out the thing. And it's not them telling you your thoughts are wrong. It's not, look, I'm a woman.
Yep.
And if I see a nice looking man, I'm not dead because I'm married. I'm still human.
Oh,
but
that's true.
Because I know my past, I know what I have been capable of in the past. I'm not there now. I don't believe that I would do that, but I'm human.
Right.
So I'll share with Glenn, if I get a call from one of my exes, and they may be calling me about, it ain't them trying to holler at me, whatever, but I'm not. She
from DC, y'all. They say holler. That means that for those that are not
Oh,
from
Lord.
DC, when somebody's trying to holler at you, they're trying to have a conversation with you. They're not actually hollering at you. They're just saying, "Hey, can we talk? Because I think you're cute." And they just and so
They want to
they
go back down.
characterize
Right.
it. Yo, can I holler at you?
Oh,
That's
Lord.
what that
Thank you
means.
for breaking that
I
down.
just thought
Okay.
I'd help the non-DC residents.
So, but I will share that with Glenn. I'm not gonna not tell him, hey, guess who? I'll be like, hey, guess who called me today? My ex called me today. We were talking about this, that, and the other. I'm not gonna keep that as a secret, and that's how a lot of people get in trouble.
Exactly.
Because you want to keep stuff to
That's
yourself.
exactly right,
like,
babe.
you don't need to know all that.
Yep.
She don't need to know all that. Yes, they do. Because if you ain't hiding nothing, why you hiding?
We're talking about rebuilding
I'm
the
sorry.
relationship, and Cherie went on her DC
I'm
rant. It's okay. It's okay, because I go on my Baltimore rants every now and then. But we said there are two things that you need to know when it comes to rebuilding the relationship. Once the couple have committed to rebuilding trust, they must work on treating the relationship like it's a completely new one. That is critical.
Right.
That is key. That is something that if you do not do, the relationship cannot be rebuilt. Hey, hey, Tanya, good to see you, girl. Jumping in on IG. Y'all do me a favor, IG. Press the arrow at the bottom. Good to see you, Ebony, on IG. And share that out. So in rebuilding, so that's number one. You have to be willing, and we showed y'all the illustration. Go back and look at the replay of erasing everything that happened before and physically rewriting the script.
Yep.
So that you can start over and start new. Let me tell you again why that's important. I said before that without a game plan, you can't execute. As a coach, one of my jobs is to create a game plan after I've assessed where you are and understand where you want to be. My job is to create a game plan that can help you get there. Well, if I don't create the game plan, it's hard for you to execute something that you don't know. So when you're rebuilding the trust in a relationship, when you're trying to rebuild the relationship itself, you've got to be able to have to be wipe that slate and come up with a completely new one. The second thing is both sides must be willing to ask for what they really need. Listen to me carefully. Both sides must ask for what they really need. And so when we went back to our list and we were rebuilding our trust or our relationship, and we were coming up with what I would consider the game plan as to how we move forward so that we are never here again. On this list, I said, Cherie, what does starting new look like? She said, well, number one, open communication. I asked her to get very specific. I asked her, well, what does that mean? She means to share. That means to speak truth. That means to create a safe space. I may want to add, because this is what I need, I'm going to say at this particular point, tell me now. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you why that's important for me as we move forward. Because Cherie was famous for waiting and calling it, you're busy.
Right.
I'm not, I didn't come to you because you were in the middle of writing a book. I didn't come to you because you were getting ready for a talk. I didn't come to you because you were doing this or doing that. Here's a challenge with that, guys. Listen to me really, really carefully. The challenge is that if you don't tell me now, I'm not going to remember it 3 weeks from now. Right. My temperament won't allow that. I am not a deep, detailed thinker. I think broad and wide and often. And so here's the point I want you to understand. You have to put on that list, what do you need? Right. And if you don't do that, then you don't get it. Everybody who grew up in the same community I did, you already know, closed mouths don't get fed. Now, if you need somebody to translate that, ask the chat. What does that mean? If you don't know what that means, put it in the chat. Somebody will answer that for you. So the point I'm making is we have to rebuild the relationship. For the sake of time, I want to go back and we're going to pick this up next week, probably in a different title, but we're going to kind of probably speak to our singles a little bit. I think. Well, go ahead.
I wanted to address them a little bit today.
No, we are going to do that right now.
Okay.
No, I don't. I'm looking at the time. I don't think we're going to have a ton of time
right.
to really break this down. But I definitely want to go through this and talk to my singles. If you are single, meaning you're not married,
right?
Put a 1 in the chat, or put me in the chat. No, put me in the chat. If you're single, meaning you're not married. I didn't ask you where you were dating. I just said, are you single? I didn't ask you if you're engaged. I said, are you single? Right. If you're not married, then you're single. Put me in the chat. And the reason why is because I want you to understand what this could look like for you. So the top 5 things are still true for singles.
Right.
That you have to implore these things in your relationship if you want to rebuild trust.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing I need every single on this call to understand. You have choices that married people don't have. Let me help you understand something right here and right now. You have options. Put that in the chat.
Options.
You have options that married folks do not have.
Right.
You're not connected by a covenant.
Right.
Hello?
Right.
You're not connected by a covenant. You're not bound by law.
Right. Right.
The law of the covenant. I'm not talking about the common law. Right. Hello. We're not talking about that.
Right.
And I'm coming this way because I think that what you do is you rob yourself of the opportunities that you have at your disposal.
Right.
Of the choices that you actually have.
Right.
So when you think because I'm dating, I have no choices, you will not exercise the options that you have in order to be able to help yourself rebuild trust in your relationship.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. And I'd like to say for singles, as Glenn stated, you are not in covenant with somebody. So you have not made that level of a commitment with an individual. You have options. So for singles, you get to exercise the 1, 2, 3 strikes. You get to exercise, certain options that in a marriage you don't get to as freely exercise. So if an individual violates your trust and you're dating,
yes,
you talking,
yes,
y'all been going out together for a while,
they hollering at you.
They hollering at you.
All my DC people,
you still don't keep a record of the wrong if you decide that you want to move forward with the relationship. So you don't hold this thing over them, but you get to make a choice very early.
Yes.
In the relationship, number one, you get to see, okay, so you mark this over here. Okay, I see they did that. We talk about it. We have this conversation. If they repeat the behavior, you get to say, okay, this is a character issue with this individual.
Yes. This is a trend.
This is a trend. And you get to make a choice and say, I don't want to. You can, at the first offense, you can say, I don't want to deal with that because you're dating, because you're not married.
Please say that again.
Because you're not in covenant. You get to choose. You don't even have to give. You don't have to say. You can say, I don't want to work on this. I see that this is an issue. I don't want to deal with it.
I don't want to give it another moment.
I don't want to give it another moment. But if you choose to, if you say, okay, well, let's see if we can work past this. I want to implore you, if you are single, you're not in covenant.
That's a college word.
You're not in covenant. If you see a trend, and this is where the 1, 2, 3 come. A trend is not them doing it 20 times. By the third time, there's a trend.
Right.
There's a pattern here.
Right.
You get to make a decision by that third time to say, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this. But do not do what most of us do, is ignore the elephant in the room. Oh, he ain't. He gonna change. If they've done it more than once and you're dating and you see it, see what you see and deal with it accordingly. Don't sit by and act like it's gonna just disappear magically the longer y'all stay together. There's a trend. There's a pattern. Pay attention to patterns in the relationship when you're dating.
Put that in the chat. Pay attention to patterns. Put that in the chat.
And you get to make a choice based on the patterns that you see while you're dating, whether or not you want to deal with that. If you see that somebody has poor anger control while you're dating, why the heck?
Right.
I watched my language.
You did good.
Why the heck would you move forward in a relationship with a person that can't manage their emotions? And you've seen this trend over the course of your dating relationship.
Guys, let me relate this to the top 5. So we said that those 5, no, it's okay. Those 5 really apply for the single relationship as well as they do the married relationship. And we said that the 5 sticking points in order to effectively move past that breach of trust is, number 1, knowing the details. When you are single, knowing the details can involve you asking very direct, specific questions and giving consequences as to the responses to those questions, and those consequences being really dire. So, for instance, it is this. My question to you is, why is it that I keep seeing the same person say the same things that are inappropriate to you on your Facebook page over and over again? What's up with that? You get to ask that direct question.
Oh, I don't know her.
Then all of a sudden,
okay, so why you ain't block her?
So you get to have those kinds of conversations, right? Why are we saying these things? And I just made that up off the top of my head. It's because knowing, and Sheree getting ready to get into her Southeast thing now. She getting ready to go Southeast on me now, y'all. Y'all got to watch her. Knowing the details is this. I want to change that word knowing to paying attention.
Right.
We said pay attention to patterns. I want you to pay attention to the details. People show you who they are long before they tell you.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
People will show you who they are long before they tell you. Maya Angelou said it this way. When a person shows you who they are, when they tell you who they are, believe them the first time.
Yep.
And so one of the challenges, particularly when you're single, is that you want to ignore it because you want this thing to go somewhere. But here's the challenge. Do you really want it to go somewhere? Right. Do you want lies to go somewhere? Do you want missteps to go somewhere? Do you want the fact that they are inconsistent with a particular subject or whatever the case may be? Do you want that to go somewhere on your watch?
Right.
And if you do, okay, fine. That is your call. You get to make it. But don't call me as a coach talking about help.
Right.
Because at this particular point, you like crazy.
Right.
You want that.
Right.
And you're not ready to be coached yet.
Right.
Because at this particular point, you will allow yourself to not pay attention to this. When for singles, when we talk about releasing the anger, you want to say something on the other stuff first?
Yeah.
Come on, Southeast. You gonna go?
No,
you gonna harden the paint on?
No, I wanted to address. Tiara made a comment saying, sometimes as longtime singles, you get so focused on being married that we extend or attach grace attach marital grace to a dating situation. And that is so true because we are accustomed to not being in relationships, but we're in many marriages. When we date a person, when we're in a relationship with a person, we act as if we're married to that person. We give them all the same benefits, all the same level of grace, the same level of influence in our lives as if they are married to us. And that's not true.
Right.
We do dating wrong.
Right.
Because we date people as if we're married to them. There is a difference. And unfortunately, our culture has not taught us how to differentiate between the two.
Ooh, that's another college word.
When you're dating a person, this is a season of you getting to know them. This is a season of you getting to know their character.
Yes.
This is a season, as Glenn said, where you have options, you have choices. But we get so enveloped into that relationship that we now act as if we're married to this person when we are not married. There is no commitment. You do not owe them that same level of grace. You do not owe them that same level of commitment because they have not made that commitment to you.
Wow.
You do not owe them the same benefits as if you are married when you're not married.
Come on now. Listen, and if you move in a way and disregard what she just said, there's a price to pay for that. I need y'all to understand there's a price. So when you go to step number 2, it becomes difficult for you to do step number 2 because at this particular point, you have not effectively done step number 1. And step number 2 is releasing the anger. When you have not done your work, it is hard for you to release the anger in a single relationship because it keeps coming up over and over and over again, but you never addressed it the first time. Hear me clearly, y'all. You're seeing a pattern that you're not speaking to. So thus, you stay in this position of being angry all the time, and you're trying to figure out why are you so pissed off with this person? And the truth of the matter is because, listen, guys, listen, you have not done the work on getting your facts. And you're not paying attention, nor are you giving credence to that. So now it is, I see that you did this 3 times, but I'm going to choose to call that you just special. You're going to get it together. But then when you do it again, it pisses me off. And so now I'm angry.
Right.
Does that make sense, guys? And at this particular point, here's the problem, y'all. You will not be able to practice releasing anger. Let me give y'all a secret. If you are dating and you've not learned how to practice getting your facts, releasing anger, you'll never move to the place of forgiveness.
Right, right.
And the truth of the matter is, if you step off into jumping the broom and you've not developed that part of you, you in trouble.
And let me just real quick. So releasing the anger. This does not mean that y'all gotta have knockdown, drag out arguments when you're dating a person. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that you have to lose control of your emotions. A lot of times when we hear the term anger, we go to the far extreme. Releasing the anger is simply, I'm bothered by something that you did, and I'm able to have that conversation.
Oh, that's good.
You know, you did something that I didn't like, and I'm going to address it versus me just holding it in, and I'm not going to say anything. What typically happens, and let me say this, we were not perfect when we dated.
Not at all.
We had our issues. We had our issues. But the one piece that I can say that I did get right, when there were things that were going on, when I saw things, I addressed them, and I would tell him, look, you got to go.
Yep.
We broke up. I don't know how many times.
Oh my
we
gosh.
were dating.
Yep.
Because I was like, you got to fix that.
She would draw a line really quickly and say, that's a problem.
With that.
Until you fix that, don't call me. Cherie would do that in a heartbeat. She would say that, no, you don't get to talk to me that way. Your tone is off. And I don't know what causes you to believe that it's okay for you to talk to me that way. But here's the deal. Until you can mind your tone, do me a favor. Don't call me.
Right. And this comes from a place, and I'm going to try to say this nicely.
You going to keep Southeast down?
I'm going to try to say it nicely. When you get into relationships.
Leave it all at the big chair, boo.
When you get it, now, let's say we all grown in this room. And the whole reason why, as grown-ups, you date is because you one day want to get married.
Yes.
You want to be in a relationship. So I'm not negating that at all. But you cannot pursue relationships to the degree that you're so pressed to be in a relationship that you're willing to put up with anything. You have to have your standard. You have to have things that you know that I am not going to tolerate, that are not acceptable for me. And you have to be willing to speak to those things. If you are so thirsty,
right,
that you're willing to overlook things, if you're willing to not address things, and let me say this, nobody's perfect. You're going to have issues, but you got to at least talk about them.
Sure.
Don't act like the elephant ain't in the room, and the elephant is sitting on your chest, and you're going to just hold your breath and not say nothing. Have the conversation, and you get to decide, you know what?
Yes.
Had the conversation. I don't like your response. Your response is not satisfactory for me. Love you. You're not a bad person, but I think we need to go our separate ways.
Don't call me no more.
Don't be so pressed that you putting up with stuff that you know that you don't want in a relationship, because it's not going to go away. A person's character, when you're dating a person, you get to see their character. See what you see.
Right. That's it. Listen, guys, we're not going to finish all the 5 for the singles. I knew we wouldn't.
And this is what goes on in our singles community. So if you're single, please sign up for a discovery session so that you can get more. As we go way more in depth.
Yeah.
Even in our couples community, I mean, we are very transparent, very real. I'm a truth speaker. Oftentimes I can be a little brash.
Yes.
But
we love it.
My heart is that people do not go through the pain.
And that's where it's coming. It's coming out of your passion.
Right. I'm passionate about this.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't want to see people go through heartache that they don't have to go through.
No doubt. Singles, listen to me very carefully. Many times you are losing because you're not in community. Let me help you out. I lost as a single person when I stayed outside of a community of people who I knew could help me. Here's the challenge. I would allow everything else to kind of crop up and come into my life that would keep me out of the space of doing the work. And as a result of that, I lost consistently. When Cherie and I got together and we were single, I had finally agreed to myself, it is more advantageous for you, sir, to stay in community with a group of people who are doing what you want to do. They're not talking about it.
Right.
You need to be in a community of people who can support you, love you, speak truth to you, hold you accountable. Because as a single person, particularly if you've grown, you making money, you got kids, you've been married before, you can traffic in a place where can't nobody tell you nothing. And as a result, you will consistently lose.
'Cause
And
you're
I
with-
think that it's those kinds of intangibles that are developed in a community setting, in the right community, that allows you to heal, allows you to become whole, allows you to develop certain skills that you've never had or they were underdeveloped. And then as you move forward in relationships, you will find yourself attracting the person that you want to be with. And at the end of the day, that's what this is really about. You're trying to position yourself so that if you get married again, you don't find yourself marrying the idiot all over again that you dated or that you were married to before.
Right.
And I promise you, if you are not discerning enough, and I like to say this, that you have to give people permission to speak into your blind spot.
Right, because we get blinded by love.
We get blinded by the feelings.
Right,
We get blinded by all of that. And when I give people that I trust license to share truth with me, to speak into my blind spots, it changes everything. And so now I can understand the perspective and I can move on as a result of that. I can benefit. So next week, we're going to pick this up. We talked about the two things. We're going to pick up on the other three things for singles. And then we're going to go down on drill down on this subject matter, hopefully, and pull this apart for your singles. If this has helped you, put yes, it helped me in the chat. Put yes, it helped me in the chat.
And I personally want to invite all of you singles who are on the line. If you're not in the MAPS Relationship Academy, please go to www.thecrcoach.com. Schedule a discovery session with us. We'd love to have you come into the community. We can talk with you, get you in. Daryl, I see you. Please schedule a discovery session. We'd love to have you. There are men in the group. We're trying to get more men in the group so that we can get the man's perspective. For my single men, this is not a male bashing community.
Not at all. I ain't having
speak
that.
Truth to men as well as to women. To help you all to be able to have successful relationships, because at the end of the day, that's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to have a relationship. Nobody wants to. When you grown, you ain't trying to be going through that. Keep switching partners every other month. Ain't nobody got time for all that. You're trying to get with somebody and settle down and have a real relationship.
Yeah.
But because we haven't been taught, we haven't practiced good relationship skills. Because it's difficult because nobody ever taught us that.
Nobody ever showed us how to do that.
We've been figuring this out on our own.
Yep.
So come in the community. We have a wealth of knowledge in that community. It's not just us that add value to.
The whole community is. We listen in that singles community. We got people who are flat out professional therapists and counselors. That's what they do for a living.
Right. So they add their perspective,
and they're in the room to be coached themselves. So we got all kind of wisdom in that room to help you out. Not to mention we got people who've been married before, people who've not, younger, older. It just like every station of life is really represented in that room. And I just think it's super amazing. So again, www.thecrcoach.com. C as in constant, R as in relationship.com. Make sure you sign up for a free discovery session. And at the end of the day, here's what we all know to be true, guys. We all need some help. I hope y'all have a great Saturday. We look forward to seeing you soon. Send this out so somebody can catch the replay, and we'll see you guys next week. Y'all be good. We'll talk soon.